I
Mute
think
on
we
space.
are live.
Live and direct. I am on the space, so hopefully you can hear me there.
Try talking again real quick.
And check 1 2 1 2.
Yep, cut you loud and clear.
Let me get to the Threadcast.
Yeah, hop in the Threadcast. I did link it in the.
We got 88 comments. Oh, wait, hold on. Now it says 85. That's weird. Well, for everyone that read the Threadcast, you've been bamboozled. You got the cat instead of the task. I know.
Yeah.
You're so excited and so disappointed at the same time. Task drops way more knowledge than me, but I occasionally make you guys have a laugh, so it evens out in the end. And nice.
Yeah, it is nice to have Mitch back.
You got.
I think you were out for like 2 weeks, maybe 3. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, that's right, because I was out of town back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's been a whirlwind. I got back Friday night from the second trip, and then I had family unexpectedly. My business partner's brother, who's like my little brother, he was in town with his wife. And then it was also my birthday, so it was just like the whole weekend was a blur right after getting home. So I'm just like playing catch up. I got so much stuff to catch up on as far as work-ish stuff and crypto stuff.
I like the work-ish line.
Yes, work-ish. Because that's what it is, I guess, because it's my stuff. It doesn't have to be done, but if it doesn't get done, I don't make any money. I can't just sit here and wait for Leo to go to $1.
Yeah, I think I think we've made a lot of good progress on that with LeoDex's volume. I keep talking about this, but LeoDex's volume is really going to be the lead domino in terms of taking Leo to $1 and beyond.
Heck yeah.
We can obviously get into all those
Yeah,
updates.
so
I think we're going to have a little bit of a shorter AMA, so we might want to keep things a little compressed. But
the bullet list here. So I see you got roadmap, wallet, ZEC on Maya, perps, index options, referral system update to offer trade discounts, and more. So yeah, a little smorgasbord of updates.
Yeah, it's it's a good time to be in the universe.
Yeah, well, start with whichever topic you feel like.
Yeah, let's start with I just put out this teaser on X with the newest update we just pushed out today. So this update lets you connect. Actually, I think I'm just going to share. I remember last time I tried to share screen though, and it did not go very well.
Oh boy.
Let's see if it's improved at all.
Yeah, I've never done share screen on Restream. Obviously, just on Zoom.
Yeah, let me see how this looks. You know what? Let's not bother with the sharing screen right now.
When in doubt, screenshot.
Yeah, I'm just going to screenshot and share in the Threadcast. So we actually, really since the last AMA, I think we've pushed out, because on LeoDex's we've been doing almost daily updates, which is a really fast pace. I mean, for really anything, but especially I think in the cross-chain space, that's a really fast pace of updates. There's so many different moving parts when it comes to the cross-chain ecosystem and developing for it. Also, I just realized we are still upgrading the image server, so I can't drop screenshots. So you guys are gonna have to go to LeoDex's yourselves and check all this.
It literally feels like we're back to Leo Finance.
Here's
I just realized I had the shirt on. Super random too. Nice. Not even.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I got to get some LeoDex's merch made up.
Actually, you know what? That sidebar, I did get the thing. So where I got this, I got the no, not LeoDex's. I got in Leo. We could do LeoDex's. Just give me an image. Send me
the media kit. Go grab the media kit. It's in the LeoDex's docs.
It's got LeoDex's. All right.
Yeah, it's got every image in the LeoDex
I'll
docs. It's got every image you can need.
let me know. Because like I was gonna order an in Leo shirt for myself, but let me know what you want. I can just get it all in one shot.
Yeah, yeah, I may hit you up about that because I want to get some good merch.
You should be wearing right now. That shirt should say LeoDex or in Leo, not McLaren.
I know. I'm promoting the wrong team.
Right. McLaren. Well, the McLaren's what you can buy when Leo goes to $1.
Right, right. So let me just walk you through these updates, verbally. So if you go to leodex.io/TCY, then you'll be able to see the dashboard for TCY, obviously. So on this dashboard page, we actually, I think we were the first to build a TCY dashboard. And with the dashboard, I wanted to add a lot of different features that would make it, that would make the TCY experience better. Because you buy TCY and you stake it, and then you're like, okay, now what? Right. So like what you want to be seeing as a TCY holder is what I've tried to envision for this dashboard. And I obviously hold a lot of TCY as well. So I've kind of made it for myself, and it's like something I can check in on every single day, and I can see, key stats. So you see like your TCY balance. So obviously that's like a nice number go up thing that you can see. And then you also can see, the TCY price and a bunch of different global stats, related to TCY. I am actually just going to try to share it again. Hold on.
Roll the dice.
I think it's just so much easier to
do it.
It's so much easier to talk about it when you guys can see what I'm looking at.
Don't talk about it. Be about it.
That's that one. Problem is, it's with Restream is that it's really difficult. It's extremely difficult to share a specific tab. Like to find the tab you want to share that's the hard part with Restream. They've just made it really difficult.
They should rename Restream everything but your screen.
Yeah, this just sucks. I hate the way they do this.
No visual updates for the Lions.
Let's see here. So I forgot to join from this.
Peruse the threadcast in the meantime. I'm dropping random GIFs in the threadcast. Obviously, that cat related.
Yeah.
That's a good, decent question that Khan has.
Share this tab instead. Okay, maybe I figured this out. I think I figured this out. All right. Here we go. Let me flip.
There it is. I see LeoDex.
Sweet. All right. If you guys are listening and in the threadcast, then you can let us know if everything looks good on your end. But you'll see that message. This is very zoomed in. That's better. So this is the TCY dashboard. And again, you can go to leodex.io/TCY to see it. So prior to this update, you would go to this dashboard, and unless like it would show like this, which obviously it says connect your wallet, you wouldn't be able to actually see anything unless you connected your wallet. We got a lot of feedback, from people in the Thorchain ecosystem who said they want to be able to see this dashboard without connecting their wallet for a number of reasons. A big one is that, if you're like on the go and you want to check your dashboard, you have to like, if you're using like a desktop wallet, you can't check it from mobile. So there's that. If you want to refresh the page to get the latest data, you refresh and then you have to connect wallet every single time. So we added this feature where you can now check actual addresses, by the URL. And then you also can add them in this switch accounts tab. So there's this new little module right here. You can do switch account or select account, and you can add accounts to it. So this lets you add Thor addresses without actually connecting the wallet. So you can actually just add any Thorchain address, even if it's not your own. I think one actually cool use case will be tracking the POL address. So that's the protocol owned liquidity address from Thorchain itself. But it shows you the recent addresses, and then you can add a bunch and save them so that you don't have to like go back and forth all the time. So if you had I don't have multiple here, but if you had multiple, you could add them and then switch between them just super easily. And then it shows you the recent ones and just makes it extremely easy to track various addresses. I know most people have multiple addresses, and then maybe for some reason you want to track someone else's address. You can now do that through the dashboard here. So that update just went live today. And then over the weekend, we also pushed the updates for P&L. So Mitch is probably going to love this one. But now you can track, and I took this kind of from TradFi, from my stock investing, career. And, I wanted to make a P&L page that would actually show me the useful information that I'm always kind of looking for. For years I've been in crypto, and, in that time, I've always had to use spreadsheets to actually track my, sorry, I'm switching. The Threadcast recording is not working. We'll figure this out later. No Threadcast.
Share screen.
No
break
Threadcast
something.
recording for this episode. Instead, we'll be sharing the screen. In crypto for all these years, I've had to keep a spreadsheet to track P&L, and you have to put down what day you bought something, what asset you bought, what price you bought it at, how much you bought it for. It's just kind of a pain in the ass. So for the TCY dashboard, I've obviously been like dollar cost averaging into TCY. Mitch and I have been talking about that too. Dollar cost averaging into TCY, and then I wanted to see a really awesome, like real-time dashboard for showing my cost basis and, my P&L on that TCY that I've bought. So on this P&L history, you'll see, and this is not my address. This is just a random Thorchain address I pulled up. But you can see the P&L here, and it shows you, the average cost basis, which is 31 cents for this address. They bought $35,000 worth of TCY, and it shows you the current value is about $7 less than what they paid for that TCY. So, they've been buying TCY since May 8th, which is pretty close to the launch date. Their first TCY buy was for 23 cents. And they bought, 9,359 TCY. Shows you the cost basis was $2,100. And this is the part that I love. It shows you the P&L for that specific buy. So on that specific buy, they're up $800 in P&L. And then you can see that they've kind of been dollar cost averaging at over 30 cents. And on some of these other buys, they have a negative P&L. So, this user now can see that they're basically break even on all their TCY buys, when you aggregate them all together. And this P&L history, like I said, is just something I've always wanted to see on a DEX, because, centralized exchanges have pretty good P&L dashboards, whether you're trading perps or spot. So I wanted to build something like that for DEXs. So the first iteration of this is for TCY, and we've been refining this a little bit. So I have noticed, like, if you have a ton of transactions, sometimes it doesn't show up on the TCY dashboard that we built. So we've been working on that. It just has to do with data load and balancing. So as we kind of refine this, we'll make it better and better. And if you guys have any feedback, as usual, we thrive on feedback. So give us any feedback you have about improving this. But we're starting with TCY, and then over time, we're going to add in other tokens as well. So, in the future, you'll be able to actually see your P&L history for any asset on LeoDex. So like if you trade Bitcoin, or you trade ETH, or you trade, stable coins, or you trade Rune, we're going to make this TCY P&L opened up to all different assets, but we're doing it for TCY first. Obviously a lot of people are looking at TCY, and I wanted to really perfect this dashboard. Like I said, it's my goal with this is to make something for myself and for other people who have a TCY position, add to it regularly and want to track it very frequently. So it's meant to be like this one page, like a one pager, where you can just refresh it daily, and you can track, all the key metrics of TCY. You can track the value of your position. You can track the P&L history. and you can track the rewards being paid out as well. So if you're connected, it'll show you the rewards. If you're not connected, it won't. I am working with the devs to see if we can figure out how to do this without connecting too. But right now, like, you can track this because, like I said, this is not my address. So, right now the way it works is you can go here, you can track any address, whether it's yours or someone else's, and see the P&L of all the different buys and whatnot. So maybe this will be a cool way to like follow a trader. So like if you notice a trader that's doing really well on TCY, you could actually follow them and potentially see, when they buy, when they sell. And, I know a lot of other stock trading platforms have made this like a popular feature, where you can kind of follow and track other traders. So I think there's some cool use cases that could evolve from something like this. So adding the switch accounts feature was just really highly requested by a lot of people. So I'm happy that we delivered on it. Mitch, any thoughts related to that specifically?
No, I mean, it's pretty awesome. I just was looking at mine again, but I had looked at it the other day, and, shows the P&L history from, I just did one transaction. Like, I think it was like whatever, in the first 48 hours of the TCY launch, which I know at that point you guys are still building the P&L history thing. So I don't know if it defaulted or not, because it's funny. My one transaction, it shows my cost basis at 20 cents, which I wish, but my actual cost basis is more like 24 cents. So it's showing my P&L doing a little better than it actually is. But again, that purchase was done before the P&L history thing was really launched. So I'm not really sweating that, but it's definitely cool to be able to see, the history. So, you truly kind of know when and where you bought things, because most of the time you can't really track it, or you just, don't remember. So, and
Yeah.
I see my little, and it's cool seeing your little, rewards coming in every day, because I only bought a tiny bit of TCY. So I get a small little room reward every day, but that's pretty cool. And it shows the APY for the staked TCY. So I pay attention to that, because as that goes up and down, if I want to buy or sell any TCY. So I'm, waiting for, if there's going to be any kind of little dip in TCY, potentially add more, because I want my average APR to remain higher. So, but yeah, pretty cool. And obviously, chart, so you can see the price history. Where
Yeah.
the all-time high is, where the all-time low is, where we are relative to that. So, yes, Cat has a little bit of TCY, not much at all. Basically, I just threw some fun money at it, like the day after it launched, because I happened to be at a conference the day it launched, so I missed the launch. But there was a dip, I think, like 24 hours in, so I ended up grabbing some in the mid-low 20s. Not too bad, because pretty much 20 cents. From what I saw, no one was really getting it at 10 cents at the launch. Most people got it at 20 cents and above. So, but yeah, and I wanted to use. I just wanted to test. I wanted to try out LeoDex for it, which was honestly the best and smoothest and fastest transaction I've ever had on LeoDex, was with TCY. Like, if my experience for other coins replicates the TCY experience, then LeoDex is going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah. And, we have, we have all those other assets. So a lot of people use us for TCY trading specifically. And almost all of our volume right now is TCY. I think we kind of made a name for ourselves.
Nice.
With TCY. So, obviously adding things like the dashboard and these other features around, around TCY have just kind of made us kind of known for TCY, which is great. And like Mitch said, at launch, a lot of interfaces kind of dropped the ball when it came to TCY. And it's not necessarily to blame anybody. I mean, it was just like a chaotic, period of time where you didn't have a lot of time to just like, okay, you got to figure all this stuff out. You got to roll it out and, refine it and push updates in real time. I think our team is really good at pushing quick updates, in a lot of different senses. And one of them is like, we're under the gun TCY is live. Let's make sure that trading works. Let's make sure that staking works and all the other features around TCY. And, we put a lot of effort into that. So I'm really happy that people, use us for TCY. And I want to, continue to educate more and more people that we do offer literally every asset. So, we've got chain flip, Thorchain, and Maya routes. So we have all three of those. And then we are working still on getting the Rango. So Rango offers things that aren't on Thorchain, Maya, and chain flip. So once we get the Rango stuff up and running, we'll actually have even more assets on LeoDex. But for example, if you want to do a 10 Bitcoin swap right now, you can literally do a 10 Bitcoin swap on LeoDex with a 0.6% slip. So that's like you're beating centralized exchanges with that pricing. Obviously, all of that comes from Thorchain, and then on the LeoDex end of things, we're one of the cheapest interfaces in the Thorchain ecosystem. So using us means getting really the best price when it comes to swaps. So all this stuff works super well. You can see it's showing you the best route. It'll show you all the fees and how they get paid out. So yeah, it's refining this whole UI UX is my entire focus right now with the team. So we're just continuing to make this better, whether you're swapping Bitcoin, ETH, stable coins, or TCY. And then obviously, with things like the dashboards, making them really good for tracking and managing your wallet. So, we're adding a ton of features. Like this is the main dashboard that shows you all your different assets. So I kind of showcased this before, but you can see like your transaction histories and all the different assets you hold. So, when you look at LeoDex today and compare it to LeoDex, at the beginning of April, which was only a month ago, we didn't have any of these features. So everything you're seeing here is literally since April that we've pushed all these things. So I'm very happy with the team's progress and just continuing to push out update after update and just refining the experience. The focus, like I said, is let's make LeoDex hyper successful. Obviously all the revenue flows back to the Leo token. So this is all going to make Leo successful. So as a Leo ecosystem and Leo community, this should be our primary focus. And I've been talking with a few of you guys about some different ideas of how you can get involved. Obviously, the referral system is a big one, and I'll get into that next. But like writing articles about LeoDex, talking about it on Reddit and LinkedIn and X and in other places, consider that the customer base of LeoDex is anyone who trades crypto. That's a really big audience. So now you can segment that down into like, okay, anyone who wants to swap crypto, in a decentralized way, people who want to swap Bitcoin, people who want to swap ETH, and you can start to target people based on their wallets and other things like that. And then you can, create these different demographics and then try to bring them all to LeoDex. And, we've tried to make the incentives aligned in a way where, you guys doing that as a community, growing LeoDex is like, you're making Leo better as a token because all the revenue flows to the Leo token. And then the second piece is, more selfishly, the referral system is meant to be, designed in a way where you get rewarded heavily for bringing swappers to LeoDex. So I don't think enough, emphasis has been placed on the referral system. And we are making a few updates to it. I got, and he was in here earlier, but, Kyle was giving me some, Kyle from the Thorchain ecosystem, gave me some really good pointers on the referral system and things that we could do to improve it. So we've got an update that will roll out sometime this week, probably in the next day or two, to the referral system. One of the big pieces that he recommended that we do is when you use someone's referral code, allowing the swapper to get a discount on the trade so that, when you go out into the world and you say, hey, use my referral code on LeoDex, right now the value proposition is please use my referral code so that I get paid, when you make a swap. And, he was just saying that the incentive isn't really aligned for the person clicking the link versus if he could say, use my referral code for your next LeoDex swap and you'll get a 10% discount on the swap. That is a much better value proposition and incentive alignment for the person clicking the link to actually do the swap, through that referral code. So the next update to the referral system is going to actually introduce a 10% discount for anybody that trades using that referral link.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about a few different ways to go about this. So the first iteration is just going to be a straight up 10% discount. That's just how it's going to work. And then over time, I have some ideas on how to even improve upon that, which we'll get into later, in future AMAs. But for now, it's going to be, a 10% discount on any swap that's made when you use a referral code. So right now, the baseline is 0.45%. That's the interface fee that LeoDex charges. And with the new update, if you use a referral code, you'll click that code or use that code or click that link, and you'll get a 10% discount. So it'll actually be slightly more than 10% because of the way that decimals work. We have to round it. So instead of 0.45%, it's going to be 0.4% is the interface fee. So it's slightly higher than 10% discount. And then 0.275% of that fee will go to LeoDex. And then the remainder, which is 0.125%, will go to the referrer. So we're basically splitting the 10% discount between LeoDex and the referrer. And I was talking to a few people, and I think this is the best way to go about it, which will also lead into my future ideas around some game theory, which will allow users to actually change, the percent discount. But the percent discount that you like, if you want to give your referral a cheaper swap, it'll come out of your commission. But then I think it'll create some interesting game theory around, different users creating different levels of discounts in order to try to get more people using the referral code. So it creates some nice game theory to allow a little customization there. But again, that'll be in the future. So at the start, straight up 10% discount for anyone using a referral code of any kind. And we're splitting that. It's like a 2.5 basis point, reduction in revenue or affiliate fees, both for LeoDex and for the referrer. So we're just splitting that straight down the middle, which I think will be nice. And like I said, I think, Kyle had some really good ideas about this, and some other people reach out to me about it too. And I think it'll get a lot more people using the referral system. So, we built a really, really cool referral system with this. And it just works really well. Like it's honestly kind of mind blowing how well the referral system works in and of itself. Like you share the link, someone makes a swap, the money comes in, you see it go into the LREF account and the LeoDex account. And then from there, the LREF account distributes the payouts twice a month. So every 1st and 15th of the month. So you'll see the next payout is June 1st. And it's just working really well. So I'm excited to get more people using the referral system. So if you guys have any ideas on how we can get more people, using referrals and getting active with it, then please, reach out, whether you leave a feedback thread on InLeo or tag LeoDex on X with ideas or DM me or whatever. Get us your ideas, give us your feedback. How can we make the referral system work better and get more usage? Because I think it's, like I said, I think it's a killer feature, honestly. Centralized exchanges have used it for years now to grow. And we just need to keep, making it better and hopefully get it into more hands and give you guys, my tagline for it is to give the lion's share of affiliate fees back to the users. So, you guys are getting 1/3 of the affiliate commissions on all these referred swaps, which is, much more than any other referral program out there.
Incentivize the peoples. I'm like answering questions in the threadcast and like response comments. Although some I don't even know the answers to. I'm asking a question of the question. I don't know Wananda said, we need Hive keychain back. When will that be? I believe more lines will appreciate in order to buy some tokens with HBD. I'm just like confused on that one. I use keychain pretty much for everything when it comes to Hive and in Leo.
I see Brando shared a good X thread about features that people are
Yeah, I was
looking
looking
for
at
on
that.
Dex's. Yeah, that's a good thread. It's not about any Dex in particular; it's just Dexes in general. And I see
No,
one
in
of them.
general.
Yeah, and I see one of them is build an incredible portfolio tracker, P&L chart, etc. Most sites on crypto suck at this. So yeah, I think our dashboard. You look at our dashboard and TCY P&L, and like I said, hopefully we've made some really good progress in terms of solving that problem. That's really the goal here.
What because I want to make sure that you get to anything else you want to share, so we're not on crazy long. What else in this bullet list do you want to cover? Obviously, we've talked a lot about the wallet and to an extent roadmap. I see you have some you talk, and we just talked about referral system. So I see something about perps and index options. I don't know if that's something you want to talk about. Um,
Yeah, it's so Ruggira actually the launch date just got announced for the app layer going live on Thorchain. So that is happening on Thursday of this week, which is very soon. Um, so the app layer is going live, which means the contracts are getting enabled, which means I think we'll see the imminent rollout of new features on Thorchain. And some of those big ticket items are things like perps, indices, and so like various index products, and then order books and other features like that. So I think my prediction is that this is like a DeFi moment for Thorchain. So I'm really fascinated with this idea that Thorchain is in this moment of kind of at this stepping off point where Ethereum was a handful of years ago, when tokenization became a thing. So token contracts essentially started coming out, and then people started cloning them, coming up with different token ideas, and we kind of saw this explosion of innovation on Ethereum. We saw a lot of different applications come out, of all kinds, and really thousands of developers stepping up and getting involved in the ecosystem to build stuff. And what you really need is you only really need a handful of really successful applications being built on an app layer for that app layer to absolutely explode, because people will clone the ones that are successful. And obviously all this stuff is open source. So they'll clone the ones that are successful. They'll also have their own ideas, and they'll kind of use the previous things to come up with new ideas. And then people will clone those ideas, and you create like this exponential innovation that happens. And I truly believe that Thorchain is at this stepping off point where this exponential innovation is about to take place. And prior to this app layer going live, you couldn't do like smart contracts on Thorchain. And with the app layer now, you can build contracts and deploy them on Thorchain, which means that a whole new world of optionality is being added that wasn't there before. So, I think there's so many products that have been already envisioned, and people are talking about, things like perps and other features like that. But there's so many things that people have not even discussed or thought of yet. And I think, again, like I said, you have a few big ticket successes, and then suddenly you're going to see an explosion of teams that want to build here, because there's a lot of economic value that can be captured. So that economic value ultimately attracts builders, it attracts devs, it attracts people that want to use these applications. So we've seen different cycles happen in crypto where you have the explosion of tokens on Ethereum, way back in the day. Then you had the explosion of DeFi, that kind of DeFi 1.0 movement. And then you had NFTs and DeFi 2.0, and you've seen a lot of different things come and go. And then Solana with the meme coin explosion. So I think that Thorchain is at this really interesting position where it has this innovation layer that has never been there before, but it's brand new, and it's literally being released on Thursday. So we're sitting here right now, kind of like on the precipice, in my opinion. And Mitch and I were talking pre-show about how I've moved, I would say the vast majority of my portfolio to Thorchain. A very material percentage of it. It's well over, like at a point recently it became half. And then now it's well over that. So it is the vast majority of what I have is now in the, yeah, pretty much all the chips. I mean, Mitch was like, "Oh, so you shoved the chips in?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's an understatement. I've shoved all the chips in on Thorchain." And
I love it. Well, I mean,
I am a vehement believer that, well, take it this way. Rune's at $1.70 right now. It was $9 not too long ago, like back in December, January. Rune is either going to go to $0, which is not, $1.70 to zero from $9. We've kind of already fallen a lot. So it's either going to go to zero because the protocol stops. Yeah, it's asymmetric. We're either going to zero because the protocol stops, or if you believe that the protocol is not going to stop and is going to continue, and if it continues, people are going to innovate, then the upside is absolutely asymmetric. It is a ridiculous upside, that we can return to $6, return to $9, return to $12. And, the all-time high was just above 20, a few years ago. So, my belief is firmly that Thorchain is not going anywhere. So if you start from that premise and then extrapolate, it's not going anywhere. The teams are actually building now more than they ever were before. There's new things coming out constantly. There's more teams involved now. You've got the Ruggira ecosystem involved. This is a huge moment for Thorchain. And I've just, but between my actual portfolio and now kind of going all in on LeoDex, making that our core product and focusing on it, I am all in on the Thorchain ecosystem. And I think at this moment in time, it's going to be, it's going to be one of those like life-changing moments. So I just think the upside is massive, and the potential downside of it going to zero is just, to me, it's just not really there. It's obviously always a chance. Anything's a possibility, but I just don't see the downside. I don't see Thorchain just suddenly stopping operations, especially after it just went through what it went through. I mean, the time for it to die was back in February, and it didn't die, and now it's kind of thriving out of that.
Yeah. Well, like you said, there's a lot of upside. So, I mean, I've kind of become a little bit of a Bitcoin maxi in 2025, and that's where any new capital is gone. But the reality is, it's going to be a lot harder for Bitcoin to double, because that's going from 100 to 200 than it will be for Thorchain to go from, $1.75 to, 350. I mean, heck, that's like nothing. That's like the next move up. So yeah, the ability to, just straight price speculation for Rune to double, triple, quadruple is a much easier path of resistance than it is for Bitcoin, which is, currently right at all-time highs. So Rune, if Rune even just gets back to all-time highs, like that's right now would be like a 7x. So
at least
just in terms of, in terms of like, risk reward, but that, to put a bow on that, that's exactly what risk reward is, because the reality is there's more potential reward in speculating on Rune than there is probably Bitcoin over the next 12 months. But there's also more risk, because the reality is, like, we know Bitcoin's not going anywhere. And yeah, we know Bitcoin's going to have pullbacks, and, sometimes they're big, but at the same time, it's like, you don't have to worry about Bitcoin going to 20K. Like, I don't see any reality where that happens, unless the whole world falls apart and the electrical grid goes down or something. With Rune, who knows? It might go back down to $1 and just marinate there and, never fully recover. So that, and that's fine, because again, more potential reward usually is linked to more potential risk.
Right.
But no doubt, I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying not to go and FOMO into some Rune now after your little speech.
You could try, but I don't know how much you can resist. It's
now, if I can only go on
70 is just,
I know you're going to
it's
hate
criminal,
this.
honestly.
I know you're going to hate this statement, and someone also put it in the comments, so I don't feel bad since I'm not the only one. Now, only if I could go on LeoDex and swap all my liquid hive into Rune.
Well, you could swap your hive into Leo and then bridge your Leo to Arbitrum and then swap your Leo on Arbitrum to Rune and use us as the bridge.
That indeed is facts. Sounds like a lot of work, but that is indeed facts.
Yeah, I mean, it actually is a lot quicker than you might think. That being
I get
said,
it.
Maya is in the middle of an update, so you can't do it right now.
I can't do nothing. I know. I saw
Can't do it yet.
So Addicted and put a comment in the distance. It was like, "What's going on, Maya?"
Yeah, it's so Maya's
funny.
about to release Zcash, which is one of the things I put in here. But
Yeah, so let's
Zcash
wrap with that. What's Zcash on Maya? So I know what Zcash is, but so it's going to be available on Maya. So just kind of give everyone a heads up on what that is.
Yeah, Zcash is a privacy coin, and it's being released on Maya protocol as a trade route. So we'll see how that shapes up and goes. They're kind of like in the middle of refining that update. Like it's like half live right now. So they need to finish whatever they're working on, and then seed the pool for Zcash Cacao, and then it'll go live. And LeoDex is not a trading platform. It's just an interface. So whatever Maya, Thorchain, Chainflip, and these other dexes do, Leo just taps into APIs and then helps you interface with those protocols. So what happens when Zcash goes live on Maya? We'll kind of see how it all rolls out. We've been kind of watching the back end and everything because, like I said, we're tapped into the APIs and when that pool gets seeded, you can trade Zcash because it's tradable with Cacao, and Cacao is tradable on LeoDex. So that's kind of how that all works. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting effects of Zcash going live. So I think it'll be an interesting moment for the cross-chain space. And I'm excited to see Maya continuing to innovate. They have a lot of really awesome ideas. Their team is amazing. I had Alux on the Chain Chatter podcast, so you can go through the YouTube account and look for that podcast. It was a really great episode, obviously heavily focused on TCY at that time. But you can just see the talent and the commitment to building this cross-chain ecosystem, building a decentralized, finance ecosystem that is actually decentralized. There's a lot of proxy decentralization that happens in crypto. And one thing I love about the cross-chain ecosystem is that it's actually decentralized, and you have people that are actually trying to build things that are, good for the world. And the purpose of Bitcoin is not so that you can download, a Coinbase app, buy Bitcoin and sit on it so that they can custody it for you. And then just hope the price goes up so you can sell it for more money later. I know that that's kind of the normie way, is to treat it like a stock in that sense. But being able to freely trade your Bitcoin and other cryptos, that's the entire point of this industry. So we need to, and I think we're in a good moment in time for this politically. So without getting into the politics of it, but from a regulation standpoint and whatnot, this is the moment for crypto to innovate and push the entire industry forward. I am pro regulation of crypto, but in the right way. So I'm pro the proper rails being released and rules being released that everybody can follow. But I'm very anti what was happening prior to the current administration, which was let's crack down on crypto. Let's prevent everything from happening. Let's slow everything down and prevent innovation. I'm very much hyper innovation. So I think that things should be built quickly. I don't really need to tell you guys this. You've experienced it. I'm very pro building things very fast, breaking a lot of things, and then saying you're sorry later and working things out. Like if you're doing the right thing, doing the right thing is always the right thing to do. Do the right thing and keep innovating, keep pushing forward. And then, the things will kind of work themselves out. If you're not a malicious actor, I think that things work out in the end for you. So that's why, I've obviously been a huge investor in Thorchain over the years, since the early days, holding the Rune token. And, that my stake in Rune has only increased over time. And now with that, I want to contribute. Ever since the ThorFi collapse, I got really a lot more serious about wanting to contribute to the progress and growth of Thorchain, and the success of it. So, that's a big part of why LeoDex is such a big focus now. Really, the core focus of the Leo ecosystem. A big reason for that is because I think Thorchain needs to succeed. I think it's essential for the crypto industry, and I want to do my part for that. And I think my 6+ years of experience building in Leo has been UI UX driven, and that's what I can bring to Thorchain is to make great UI, great UX, and drive the team forward to deliver on all that. So, without getting into the details, now we get to leave you guys with a teaser. We are working on some crazy stuff on the roadmap. So the wallet. So there's going to be a LeoDex wallet app in the very sooniverse future. With that, some really, really interesting updates, possibly a debit card.
What?
Yeah. And like I said before, I've been working with POS providers locally on the ability to spend any crypto and receive any crypto. So I've put out some blog posts about that. And then you guys know about some of the other stuff. So we will leave you with teaser. Any
Yeah, that was a good rant to wrap with. No, I'm not even gonna say anything because that was a perfect closing. So we don't even need to talk about anything else.
Cool. Well, thanks, Mitch, for joining me. Thanks everybody in the audience. It's been a lot of fun with everything on LeoDex. So I'm excited. I'm more excited about the future than I ever have been before. I think this is a really interesting moment in time. Like I was saying for Thorchain, we're at a stepping off point, and I think the same for Leo. We're at a stepping off point here. We needed a shakeup, and you guys know everything that's happened, to Leo and myself over the last kind of 6 months. And this shakeup has turned out to be really positive in terms of the future of Leo. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow actually for Chain Chatter, noon Eastern. I will put out the announcements shortly after we jump off of here.
Nice. Take care, everyone.
Peace.